Hello folks, welcome back to Al's Joint. Today we'll be discussing the ambush at the White House, the Target campaign, and Blackout Friday. But first I want you to take a look at this movie clip from the 1940s, where it shows that racism, Nazism, and Trumpism has been around for a while. Let's take a look at it.
Now friends, I'm just an average American. But I'm an American. And some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
This fellow seems to know what he's talking about.
What are we real Americans going to do about it? You'll find it right here in this little pamphlet. The truth about Negroes and foreigners. The truth about the Catholic Church.
Do you believe in that kind of talk?
I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
I'm speaking to you as an American. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these people.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fellow's talking about me.
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These are your enemies. These are the people who are trying to take over our country. Now you know them. You know what they stand for. And it's up to you and me to fight them.
Before he said Masons, you were ready to agree with him.
Well, yes, but he was talking about... What about those other people?
But in this country, we have no other people. We are American people, all of us.
What about you? You aren't American, are you?
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you. There were others who spoke for truth. And I am proud to say that educators were among them.
We must judge each man as an individual and not by the color of his skin or his eyes or by the length of his nose. Remember that. And remember that there is no master race. That is a scientific truth. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying.
Wow, folks, I don't know about you. I can't say that I'm shocked, but I can say that I'm surprised that those clips are out there, and this is the first time we're seeing them, or at least the first time I'm seeing them. So let's get back to the ambush at the White House, where they targeted the president of Ukraine in what we considered a calculated hit job. So let's take the gloves off and let's get at it. So your Vice President, Donald Trump, because we're assuming that President Musk wasn't available for today's meeting or for that particular meeting, J.D. Vance and the wife of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Brian Glenn, a former Fox reporter who decided that he now has the right to attack a world leader. Think about that, folks. A former reporter for Fox who was let go because of allegations of sexual misconduct is at the White House attacking a world leader. You can't make this stuff up. So to bring everything into perspective, you have the leader of one of our allied countries who we are supporting against aggression from Russia who comes here to meet with the leaders of the United States to ask for continued support, both financially and politically. And he gets harassed by Vice President Trump and that idiot J.D. Vance and this Brian Glenn character who tells him that it's okay for Elon Musk to come to work, come to the White House in the Oval Office with a t-shirt on, a black jacket, and a black MAGA hat on indoors. So let's get to the bottom of the real reason why Russia and the United States are fighting on either side of Ukraine. We hear about the $140 billion that we've given them in aid, not in currency, but in aid, meaning that we're producing tanks, supplying wartime needs to a country that's in the middle of chaos. So you need generators, you need, of course, military equipment. So everybody who's working at those plants and those companies that are a part of supplying the Ukraine during this war, those workers are being employed because of that war. We don't have one American soldier who's died, but we're still benefiting from the war in Ukraine. And folks are complaining about us giving $140 billion. Well, guess what? The United States and Russia both want what Ukraine has, which is trillions of dollars worth of minerals. You heard me right, not billions, trillions of dollars worth of rare minerals. Yes, they have oil, coal, natural gas, but they also have what a lot of countries crave: lithium, titanium, uranium, scandium. The list goes on and on. Those things are used in a military field to create weapons, but more importantly, they're used in aerospace. And who do you think benefits from those materials being used in aerospace? President Musk and his SpaceX. You were wondering why they were pushing Zelensky to sign that mineral rights deal right now? Now you know why. Because President Musk needs those minerals now. They're saying enough of playing like we care about the Ukrainian people. Let's get right down to business. You owe us money. You owe us $140 billion. We're telling you to sign a deal away to give us up to $15 trillion. The estimates are between $5 and $15 trillion. So there, you know why President Zelensky was ambushed and why the United States of America continue to get black eyes from this administration. We're being laughed at. We're being frowned upon. But now this is getting serious, folks. Now we're talking about siding with a communist country so it can benefit the billionaires and the big corporations. None of that money that we're going to get from the mineral deal is ever going to see its way back to the taxpayers. It's just not. They're not going to fund infrastructure. They're not going to fund education. They're not going to fund health care for folks. They're not going to help strengthen the Social Security system. No, that money's going right into the pockets of billionaires and big corporations. And we're down here fighting amongst ourselves and cutting hundreds of thousands of people out of work because President Musk says so. I need folks, Democrats and Republicans, keep boycotting, keep protesting, rise up, fight back. They want us to think, they want taxpayers to think that we're helpless. They want us to think that we fight our neighbors and they distract us enough, they continue to rob us blind. They're laying off hundreds of thousands of your fellow Americans. We can't let that happen without a fight. Now, touching base on the Target campaign, boycotting of Target, this is just the beginning. For folks who are saying, why Target? Because they were the first one up. They're the ones, they're publicly traded, So the data is available on how much money people of color spend there and how little money they're putting back into the neighborhoods of people of color. We have to make them pay for overlooking us or disrespecting us. The same with the blackout. It's just the beginning. I don't even want to use the word blackout. I want to use the word brownout. Every person of color going forward should be thinking, how do I make sure I make my presence felt in this country? One day is not enough, but one day is a start. Next, we'll have a brownout week, a brownout month, until they understand that we're to be reckoned with. If you give up your DEI programs and you don't show diversity in your company, then you have to pay the wrath. So we're fighting back, folks. We're not laying down. We're not giving up. And I want everybody out there to take the gloves off and let's get at it.
This episode of Al's Joint is brought to you by Jackpack.
This week's shout out goes to the folks in the neighborhood of Lincoln Heights, Ohio, who fought back against the KKK, kicked them out of their neighborhood. Who the hell do you think you are? Get your asses back where you belong. They had the nerve to come without hoodies. But as you can see, it's not happening anymore, folks. We're not going back. Stand up, fight back. Don't forget to join us next week as we continue our fight against Trumpism, racism, and Nazism. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.